So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this very simple bodycon dress. I'm making it for a very small size person, bust of 32, hip of 39. So guys, what I'm going to do now is just, you see, this is just her bust measurement. You're supposed to, because this fabric is very stretchy, so I'm just using her bust measurement divided by 4, and then I'm going to take away the seam allowance from it. So I'm not going to be adding any seam allowance. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is her top. So her shoulder to waist is 15. I added 1 inch to it, so it's 16 now. The next thing you're going to do is to go ahead and mark her shoulder measurement, which is 13.5. I'm going to take away 1 inch from it because divided by 2 is going to be about. So guys, I'm going to insert her shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is supposed to be 7. Remove 1 from it. I'm going to mark it as 6 inches here, and then I'm going to come down 1 inch from that as the shoulder slope, and then insert her armhole, which is going to be about 8.5. Her armhole divided by 2 is 8.5. Then I'm going to connect it in a straight line like this. Guys, like I said, this is a stretchy fabric. And then after that, I'm going to add her bust divided by 2. Her bust measurement divided by 4, sorry. Her bust is 32, divided by 4 is 8. I've marked that here. And then the same thing for the waist measurement, divided by 4. Her waist is 27. So her waist measurement is about 28. Divided by 4 is going to be 7. So I'm just going to mark that here and then connect it to the bust. Guys, you see there's no darting in this here. Everything is just like this. And then I'm going to come up to the shoulder, mark 3 inches of neckline here, and then connect it to this shoulder slope down here. So now what I'm going to do is just to go ahead, and you see how I'm going to cut this here. I'm going to cut it this way. Guys, you can cut this in form of a straight dress all the way down like one piece, but because this one has a slit on one side, and if you look at it, you see it's joined at the waist, so it needs to be cut in two, as in a shoulder part and the bottom part. So this is it here. This is her body, the body of the clothes. So now I'm going to open it up. You see, I'm cutting both the front and the back together. If it's going to have a zip, I can always use half an inch of the side seam that I'm going to be taking away, because it's half an inch that I'm going to be using as the side seam. If it's going to have a zip, I'm going to just use the side zip as where the zip is going to be. But right now, I don't think it's going to have a zip. So I'm going to just come down here, mark 1 inch of neckline this way. And then I'm going to open it up. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do now is from this one side of the shoulder. It depends on the side you want it to be. So I'm going to just go ahead and mark it from one side of the shoulder, maybe from this side to the other armhole. So I'm just going to connect it this way all the way down into the armhole like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. So guys, this is it here. I've gone ahead and marked it, and down the next thing I have to do is to go ahead, join the shoulder, and then I'm going to just hem this edge so that I can just turn it on itself, because I can't use bias on this. It's a stretchy fabric. So the way the edges are now, I'm just going to just zigzag the edges all the way. Once I join the shoulder, I'm going to zigzag the edge, and then I'm going to turn it on itself like this and just sew it using my sewing machine, and just sew it down this way, because I can't use bias. It's going to be bulky. So the best solution to this is just to fold it in and then just hem the edges first, and then you can fold it on itself. So now that I've marked this, now the bottom part, how we are going to do this is the same. Because it's going to have a slit, I went ahead and added about 1 inch to it, right? And the dress is going to be 40 inches of length, but she wants it's going to be 40 inches total length, and her shoulder to waist is already 15, right? So her shoulder to waist is 15. That means the bottom of this dress is going to be 25 inches. So let me cut off this edge here. So guys, the hip I'm going to be working with here is 39. Divided by 4 is going to be 9.5. So I need my fabric width here to be 9.5. I just left this slit here because of the the slit that it's going to have on one side. So I have this 1 inch here. You can even use less than 1 inch. It doesn't, because I'm still going to chip off some of the excess here, because when you're sewing this type of fabric, you don't want to have excessive seam allowance. Your highest seam allowance is just going to be like how you have your already made clothes that come with like half an inch, just the least amount of seam allowance, because anything more than that is going to make it look bulky. So I'm still going to chip off from this here and leave about half an inch on this, on the seam allowance, and then I'm going to just fold it away the same way I said to use your hem and use zigzag to finish the edge, and then just turn it on itself once, not twice, because once you go folding it twice, it will start becoming bulky. The only place I'm going to be folding it twice is at the edge of my clothes. So now, to insert my waist measurement at this top part here. So like I said, the length of the bottom is supposed to be 25, but I added my seam allowance, which is supposed to be about 1.5 to it, so that I can use half an inch to join this and 1 inch to fold the edge. So coming to this waist, I'm going to divide her waist by 4. Like I said, it's supposed to be about 7 inches, and then I'm going to mark her waist to her hip, which should be about 9.5 down here. And then on this line here, I'm going to insert her hip measurement divided by 4, which is supposed to be about 10 inches. That's 9.75, but just call it 10 inches. And then I'm going to connect this point to this point now. And then down here, the same measurement I have here as the width, which is 10 inches, I'm going to bring it down here, but take away 1 inch from that, so it can give me that perfect pencil look. And then I'm going to blend it into this line, like connect it to the hip. So guys, you see I've cut this part out and cut this part out. So now I'm going to go ahead now and split. I'm not going to split this open because the slit is supposed to be on one side. So this part here now is going to be my back panel, right? Because the front is where we are, the one with this excess here is the front, because this is just for our slit. There's no zip on this here. There's no center zip. This here is just for the slits in front. The seam allowance we are going to use to sew the slit. So now what I'm going to do is, while this is still on this cloth here, I'm going to go ahead and mark the nipple to nipple measurement on her body. So for her, it's going to be nipple to nipple of 7. So that's going to be 3.5, right? So 3.5, I'm going to just mark where this fold starts here, and also mark where this fold starts at the bottom, right? And then I'm going to now, from this point, I'm going to mark her nipple to nipple divided by 2, which, like I said, is 3.5. Mark that here, somewhere here, and just notch it so that I know that is at this point. So now what I'm going to do is just to go ahead, and from this point now I can go ahead and slit this open all the way down, because this is where it's going to fit in. Now my seam allowance from this is going to help me when I go back to sew this in, right? So I'm going to go ahead and slit this open. But with the slit, what you're going to do is just, I marked that 3.5 of nipple to nipple from this point, and also marked it at the bottom. So before I cut it, I'm just going to take it up this way and make sure that I move it towards one side, right? Like move it away on this side, so that I can be able to now move that 1 inch away, is what I'm trying to say. So move that 1 inch now and have that 1 inch on this side, that 1 inch of extra that we had before. So I'm just going to go ahead and rule that out. So guys, you see I went ahead and ruled the line from that notch at the top of where I marked my nipple to nipple before, and then I also marked it at the bottom. But now I drew that line across this way, just so I'm sure where it is. So now what I'm going to do is to cut this part and reduce it to the point where I'm going to have just half an inch left. So I'm going to first split it into 2 on this part here, right? And then I'm going to reduce it just so that I have just half an inch at this opening here. Because guys, you know, we moved this away so that we brought that 1 inch here because of our dart. So once I chip this off, my dart will still maintain the space where it's supposed to be. So I'm just going to cut it off and leave just the amount I need to sew and fold it in. So I'm going to just cut off excess here and leave half an inch at this edge, from this line to half an inch on. Guys, like I said, I'm still going to trim off this piece here a lot more, and then you see it's supposed to come down to this point. I know where it's supposed to be. That's 29 inches from her shoulder to the skirt. So I already know that 15 inches is the top to half length. So what I did is just place my tape 15 inches from here, and then marked the 29 inches that I measured on her, which falls in to be somewhere like here. It's supposed to be here, so I marked 29 inches and double stitched it here. So all I have to do now is just to take this here, go to the sewing machine, sew this down like this all the way, come up here, cross over, and then sew this again using this same side seam, move it away like this, sew this down like this, sew this down like this, and then cut off the excess by the edges. So that's how I'm going to do it. But in the meantime, let me show you guys the one we've done so far. So you see how neat this is. Like I said, just turn it around and fold it in. You see the inside, you just fold it. Even if you don't hem the edge, as long as you cut it with your scissors to be very clean, it's going to turn out nice. So you see what the inside looks like. It's stretchy, so it's going to fit her perfectly. So this is actually the back, right? I just join it back to back, right? The back panel to the back panel. You see it fits perfectly. So now I'm going to just take the front and join it to the front like this. Take the front now and sew it to the front. So once I sew this to the front, join this slit to the front, then I can just go ahead and close up my side seam all the way to the end. So it's like one continuous stitch from the side. That way, if the person comes and needs to take it in, I can always just take it in straight stitch down and hem it and cut off the excess. That way it's not bulky on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead now, join this to the front piece. You see the front piece is separate, the back piece is separate. Join it to the front piece and it will flap over like how this one is, and then I'll turn it inside out and continue my side seam all the way to the end. There's no zip added to it. I've gone ahead and finished it. I didn't add any zip because this cloth, like I said, is very stretchy and she's a small size, so it will fit her perfectly. This is the bottom part here. I just have to hem the edge and basically the dress is done. And this is for a graduation. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Bye.